evening. My name is Ramya. Welcome you once again for this another session of Week Care. First of all, starting with very happy New Year. It's been, I think, the first session this year in 2024. So welcome to this new session of Week Care. A little bit of background about us and this Week Care before we actually get started. So Indian Women in Finland was started in 2015. And it's almost now 8 years, and we've been doing a lot of events to integrate Indian women within this Finnish society. We've been doing cultural events, fitness events, and then now recently mentorship program where we already had 3 seasons, and now the last season we've already collaborated with the city of Espoo as well. And we also started this Week Care series during our Corona season, and the idea behind that is to have these kind of toolkits to kind of help people to understand various things like, for example, taxation in Finland, and we've had things like child protection, investing in Finland, and housing, daycare, schools, and a lot of other useful topics as well. So we have a guest today from City of Espoo, and also Kit, who's our board member, also on the call. So maybe Kit, you can continue to kind of introduce Sini, and welcome Kit and Sini to this session.
Thanks so much, Ramya. Good evening from my behalf as well for all those who are joining us here for an important topic, taxation in Finland. Whether we like taxes or not, we have to pay taxes. So that's the rule. So we have a wonderful speaker with us here today, Sini, from the city of Espoo, who's working as a senior planning officer for soft landing services at the city of Espoo. Sini, welcome here, and please join us with the Indian women in Finland for this important topic. You're going to teach us a lot. A bit about Sini here. Sini has over 10 years of working experience with people operations and finance and project management, and her expertise is strongly in startups. Sini is also learning still further, and she's doing a master's in adult learning and the global changes. And Sini is interested very much in technology, like most of us. And then she's very curious and eager to learn new things, just like us, because we are also very curious and eager to learn a lot about taxation in Finland. What is the process? What are the deadlines and time frame? What kind of deductions that we can have from taxes? And why do we have to pay taxes? What are the benefits? So there are a lot of little hidden information which may not be familiar for all of us, but which may be beneficial for all of us. So Sini, without much further taking your time, please go ahead. The floor is yours. And thanks once again for joining us in this evening.
Great. Hello, everyone. And thank you for the introduction, Kit. And I'm happy to be here to tell you more about the taxation for individuals in Finland. So I'm just going to stop my video now and start the presentation.
And please put it in the slideshow mode, Sini.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. So my presentation now will give you an overview of the process of taxation, and also like how to file the tax returns, and what are the tax rates and deductions, and what are the benefits of paying taxes here in Finland. And I really hope you will find this presentation informative and useful for you. The first thing you need to know about the taxation in Finland is the basic principles here, the residency, income type, and deductions. Your residency affects your tax liability. So if you live in Finland for more than 6 months in a calendar year, you are considered as a resident taxpayer, and you have to pay taxes on your worldwide income, regardless of where it comes from. And if you live in Finland for less than 6 months, you are a non-resident taxpayer, and you only have to pay taxes on your income from Finland. The second thing you need to know is how your income type affects your tax rate. So there are 2 main types of income in Finland: earned income and capital income. The earned income includes like wages, salaries, pensions, and benefits. And capital income includes for example, dividends, interest, capital gains, and also rental income. And the earned income is taxed at progressive rates, which means that the more you earn, the more tax you will pay. And the capital income is taxed at flat rates, and those are 30% or 34%. It depends on the amount. And the third thing you need to know is how your deductions affect your taxable income. There are various deductions that you can claim to reduce your taxable income. Those are like travel expenses, household expenses, donations, and also income spreading. You can claim these deductions either on your tax card or on your tax return, depending on the type and the timing of the actual deduction. Here I can now explain also the difference between the tax card and the tax return. So the tax card is a document that shows your tax rate and other information for the withholding tax. Withholding tax is the tax that your employer or the payer of your salary deducts from your income before paying it to you. And your tax card tells them how much tax they should withhold. And that is important that you send the tax card to the payer of your salary, for example, like in time before the salaries are paid, so they can withhold the right amount of tax. Then the tax return is a document that shows your income and deductions for the previous year and the final amount of tax you have to pay or get refunded. And your tax return is based on the information that these, like the payers of your salary, report to the tax administration. And you receive your tax card in December or the January of every year, and you can change it during the year if your income or deductions might change. And then you will receive your tax return in March or April every year for the previous year's taxes or salaries. And you have to check it and then correct it by the due date, which is usually around in May. Here are some of the deadlines for taxation. So usually, or here are like the main dates or like deadlines you should remember. So January, you will receive the tax card, or you might receive it already in December. And then you can, if your tax or income has changed a lot from the previous year, you can then change it online in MyTax already to affect the January salaries. Otherwise, it will be taken into account in your February salaries. In March or April, you will then receive your tax return for the previous year, and you have to then check it and correct it online in MyTax, or you can also do all this by phone or paper forms, but it's much more easier and simpler to do it in MyTax. There is a due date for this tax return, and it's usually in May. And it depends on your situation, but it is shown in your tax return. Then after a couple of months of submitting this tax return or the revised tax return, you will receive your tax decision for the previous year. And it shows the final tax assessment and the amount of tax you have to pay or you will get refunded. And you can appeal on this tax decision online or by paper forms within 60 days of receiving it. Then during Q3 and Q4, you will receive the tax refund for the previous year, or you have to pay back taxes, and the due dates are during the Q3 or Q4 of this year. Also, it's advised to check your tax card limit and change it if it exceeds, because otherwise from your salary, the withholding tax will be 60% if it exceeds the limit. Then about like filing these tax returns. So it's quite easy and convenient in MyTax online, which is the online service of our tax administration. And there are like different steps to do this. So first, you will receive the tax return, and you need to check it. It's pre-completed. It shows your income and the deductions that have been reported to the tax administration by yourself or your payers. You should check then that the information is correct and complete. And if everything is correct, you don't need to do anything. But if there are something missing or you need to add deductions, you can correct or add any missing or incorrect information on your tax return online too. So you need to correct or add these in MyTax or by phone or by paper forms. But I'd say, again, MyTax is the best option. You should report any of foreign income or deductions that have not been reported to the tax administration here. And you should also report any changes in your personal or family situation, such as marriage or divorce, or if you have children. Then you need to submit this tax return by the due date, which is usually in May. And you should submit it like by the date that is shown on your tax return. Otherwise, if you miss this deadline, you will have to pay a late filing penalty. Then you will receive the tax decision, and then you need to pay or receive the difference. And the decision will show the final tax assessment and the amount of tax. And you can always view this in MyTax, or you can also receive it by mail if you wish. Yes, and then let's move to all these tax rates and these deductions there are. So first, these tax rates. So there are 5 different types of like different tax rates or main types. And there's national tax, which is the tax that you pay to the central government. And it's from your earned income. It ranges from a bit over 12% to 44%, depending on your income level. And from the capital income, it's 30 or 34. Then there is also municipal tax, and it's a tax that you pay to the municipality where you live. And it varies from a bit over 4% to almost 11%. And it depends on the municipality. And the average rate is in Finland is a bit over 8% for this. Then there is a church tax if you are part of or a member of the Evangelist Lutheran Church or the Orthodox Church here. But if you're not, then you will not pay this tax. Then there's also a public broadcasting tax, and that is paid to support the public broadcasting service, which is Yle. And the public broadcasting tax is 2.5% of your earned income, but it's up to maximum of 163 euros per year. And this tax is not paid from your capital income, only from the salaries and so on. Then also the capital income tax, which is mentioned here before already, the rates are 30 or 34%, depending on the amount of your capital income. If your capital income is less than 30,000, you pay 30%, and if it's more than 30,000, you will pay 30% on the first 30,000 and then 34% on the exceeding amount. Then to the deductions. So there are different deductions that can be claimed to reduce the taxable income. It will lower your tax liability, and these are travel expenses, household expenses, donations, income spreading, and then also some others. Other deductions are in place. Some of the most common ones are the travel expenses. So you can deduct your travel expenses between your home and your workplace if they exceed your own liability, which is 750 euros per year. So if you buy a travel card, if you go from Espoo to Helsinki or Vantaa to Helsinki, or then you can deduct of this public transportation cost. Then there is also this fixed amount per kilometer for private car or bicycle use, but those are usually also covered by the employer, so that you can't then again file these on your or deduct it from your taxes. Then there's also household expenses for services such as cleaning or gardening or renovation or even childcare. And if these are performed at your home or holiday home, you can then deduct 40% of the labor cost, up to a maximum of 2,250 per year. And you can claim this deduction on your tax return. So that is something you need to do after or report in your tax return. Then there's also donations to certain charitable organizations if they are at least 850 euros. You can check all these relevant charities on the vero.fi site, and also claim this deduction on your tax return. Then there's income spreading. If you have received a large amount of income in 1 year in a bonus or severance pay or a pension lump sum, and then you can spread the income over 10 years and pay the average amount per year, and that can be also deducted on your tax return. Then there are some other deductions that you can claim, like deduction for reduced capacity to pay taxes, or some deductions from the capital income too. But more information you can find about these on the tax administration website, vero.fi, or in My Tax. Then what are the benefits of paying taxes in Finland? So there are many advantages in paying taxes. The funding public services and welfare. So your taxes pay for the public services and welfare that you and some other people enjoy here, such as education, healthcare, social security, infrastructure, culture, and also environment. And these services and welfare improve the quality of life and well-being here for everyone in Finland. And then also supporting social and economic development. So your taxes support this here in Finland, such as innovation, research, entrepreneurship, employment, and also competitiveness here in Finland. So these development activities create new opportunities for and growth for Finland and also the people here. And also your taxes promote the equality and justice of the society and the people. such as the redistribution of income and prevention of poverty and protection of human rights and participation of democracy. And these values and principles make Finland very fair and inclusive place to live and to work. Paying taxes ensure transparency and accountability too. So the government and the public sector, such as the tax administration and the parliament and the courts and the police, and these institutions operate according to the law and the public interest, and they are covered by your taxes, and you can also access and influence the information and decisions that affect your taxes and your rights. So to conclude here, this has been an overview of the Finnish taxation system for individuals, especially for expats living in Finland or have just recently moved here. So we have covered these following topics of the residency, income type, and deductions. So residents are taxed on their worldwide income. Non-residents are taxed on their Finnish source income only. And earned income is taxed at progressive rates. Capital income at flat rates. And various deductions can be claimed to reduce the taxable income. Filing tax returns is very convenient with MyTax, and you receive your tax card in January and the tax return in March or April, and you have to check and correct the tax return by the due date. Then you will receive your tax decision and you will get a tax refund or pay back taxes in Q3 or Q4. Then the tax rates and deductions are the national tax rates for earned income, then the municipal tax rates, church tax, public broadcasting tax for Yle, and then capital income tax. Then these common deductions include travel expenses, household expenses, donations, income spreading, and some other deductions. And about these benefits include like funding the public services and welfare here, supporting this social and economic development, ensuring transparency and accountability, and promoting equality and justice. I would like then to highlight also the tax administration customer service, where you can call and they will help you with any questions or specific situations you might have. And you can you can find this contact information also on the tax authority's website, vero.fi, and they also offer a chatbot and a lot of useful information there, also in English. I would like to thank you for your attention, and now we can have some questions. And I am also happy to connect on LinkedIn. You can ask any questions now or also contact me later, and look for more information or guidance at the tax administration website. Thank you.
Thank you, Sini. That was very informative, and I think it was very nicely covered by all that we wanted to hear about taxes in Finland. But I think, have few questions already here, and at least one of that is already something that you kind of covered with the residents and non-residents taxes, but maybe I could ask it once again. This is about the dual tax agreement that we have between India and Finland. So the question is how much they have to pay for income from India, like rental income or capital gain tax. And also, can we declare home loans in these deductions?
So these home loans, it's been changing now with the. Do you mean home loans here in Finland?
I'm guessing this is home loans in India, maybe.
That is a tough one, but for this like capital income, if you are a resident in Finland and you live here for more than 6 months a year, then you have to pay all these taxes from your from abroad, from global income to Finland.
You mean that is if it is not paid already in India, because there is no double taxation, right?
Yeah, there's no double taxation, yes. So then if it's not paid there, then you need to report it on your tax return.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and Kit, you had something.
Yeah, I would pick up the next question from here, and then I have a couple of questions on my own. There is somebody asking, as an expat here, am I liable to pay 32% of tax all the time? I don't think so, but maybe you can explain the tabs for certain level of income and then how the tax rate progresses.
Yes, so there is the progressive tax rate. So it depends on how much income you have, and you can easily calculate the tax card or the tax amount from the tax authority's website. So it progresses. So the more you earn, the more you pay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Ramya, can you pick up the next one?
Yes. The next one is about donation for religious organizations. I think you kind of covered about donations already, but just to know, is it possible to get any kind of tax reduction if we will donate other religious organizations in Finland?
There are, I believe there is a list. Just one moment. There is this list in the. If I share a link here, can everyone see that?
We could later share it
Yes.
with the audience.
Okay.
They
So
won't be
there
able
are
to see.
like different. There's a list of these like donation parties that are accepted in the
Okay.
deductions.
So only those donation parties, not any other religious organization.
Not to my knowledge. So
Okay.
so I
Okay.
need to, but that is something also that you can, if you are doubting this, you can of course contact the tax authorities customer service. They are very willing to help.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. Thank you.
There are two questions from the same person, so maybe I will ask them together. So he's asking, when does one become liable to pay tax in Finland? I mean, when does one is considered as a tax-paying resident? How long he or she should have lived in Finland for that? And then if an expert living here takes an insurance policy, and then he gets kind of a beneficiary of an insurance policy, let's say for somebody, your family member dies, and then you are benefited from that, the insurance policy that they have taken. So would you have to pay tax for the money that you have got from the insurance policy as well? It's a bit complicated question, but
Yes. So the first question was about that when you come when you need to start paying taxes here.
That's easy.
Yeah. So when you lived here for 6 months, then you are a resident taxpayer and you pay tax of all your like income here or globally. And then if you are not living in Finland, then you just pay tax for the work you've done in Finland or earned from Finland. Then the other question about the insurance and taxation about this, just I need to quickly check this.
But you got the question right. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, yes, I got
You
the
got it. Okay.
question. So,
Okay.
so if someone's getting money from the insurance, if it's like it usually is not under the tax, so you shouldn't be like paying taxes for that. But it depends a bit on the situation, and of course, about the insurance as well. So that is, it could be then also capital income. So then you should check this beforehand from the tax authorities. So that is
Okay.
1.2. It depends on the insurance. So I
Okay.
would advise to contact the customer service
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, maybe for those who do not know this information, in your My Tax or Omavero in Finnish, you can send messages to tax authorities, like how you send an email, and then they respond within 3 business days, and they are super clear in their answers, and they clarify everything. So it's for those who have joined here. They could definitely use this service for any question that they have on tax.
Yeah.
It works wonderfully.
And actually, I would be happy to also share one tip about these deductions, because there is this remote working deduction that has come very relevant now during this COVID, after COVID or during it. So there is, you can find an article here in the tax authorities website. So there is, it's not automatically in your tax return, but if you work from home, then you can add it in your tax return, or when you correct your tax return, you can report it there. So if you work from home more than 50% of your total number of work days in a calendar year, then you can like, there's the workspace deduction for 940 euros that you can add on your tax return. And that is something that people, even Finns, don't know this deduction that well, but that is definitely something you should look into. And there's a very good site on the tax authorities side about different deductions.
True. I think this was introduced during the COVID time when people started working from home.
Yeah.
So we were able to deduct if we work from home at least 50% of the time.
Yeah, and there are some different amounts.
Maybe there's one thing there in that is that maybe you can't deduct tax both traveling to work and remote working the same time. So you need to be very specific as to what you're kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think it is like that. It's like the travel deductions are automatic for everyone up to 750 euros.
Oh yeah, that's like, yeah,
yes.
There's this oma vastu, I'm sorry, your own, what's it in
your own
English?
share, let's say
Yes.
your own share to pay. So, and then you also can deduct for the working from home expenses. Yes, but plus, please correct me if I'm wrong, Sini, then we are able to detect, is it somewhere between 700 to 900 euro per year for equipment, work-related equipment. For example, if you're buying a table or a chair or something like that, even for that, we are able to detect.
Yes, if you buy it yourself.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe these are the little things that we have to do it ourselves, manually go and correct it in our tax form.
Yes.
So people should remember to do that. Otherwise, it doesn't come automatically.
Yes, exactly. So usually, and also be very like thorough when you're checking your salaries. So check the pay slip that it matches the tax return.
Yes, that's true. That's true. There is one question about the deductions that we just spoke about, travel costs. Somebody's asking what kind of claims that he can have on travel.
Yes, so there are like commuting expenses that you can have there. Then there are, if you live like in a different city to your workplace, then are like this, what's it called, going home for the weekend deduction. Also, if you are traveling for this like a secondary place of work. But then you always need to be careful with this, that if your employer is covering these costs, then you can't deduct these.
That's true. I mean, you can't have two deductions for the same reason, right? Same expense. Yeah, got it. Yes, I have a couple of questions on my own. Aramya, please pick it up if there are new questions from the FB.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I would progress with mine. Sini, you mentioned about withholding the tax? Like, for example, if you forgot to, if you have an increase about, let's say, about 7,000 euros this year, and my salary is about 60,000 K, but I forgot to mention or correct it in the, I forget to get a new tax card for 67,000 euros, but I only have it for 60,000 euros. So in this situation, I think the tax authorities apply a higher tax percentage for the 7,000 euros, which is on top of my.
Yeah, the exceeding amount is taxed then at the higher rate. And if you don't, you will have like this exceeding percentage on your tax card, and it will be withholded by that. But also if you don't if you don't deliver your tax card at all, it will be then 60%, and you will not get it until the next year, Q3 or Q4, after filing your tax return.
Okay.
And correcting it there.
Okay, so that's a big, it's a big punishment if you forget
it
to do
is, and this
things.
happens very often in the end of the year when the are exceeding the amounts are exceeding the tax limit of your tax card. So be sure to check that in time, and then you can always revise your tax card on My Tax and then send it over to your payroll or different payers.
Yes. One question there, because isn't it so that you do not have to deliver the revised tax card every year to your employer, and hasn't it become automatic? Or
Yes,
is
it
it
has.
only for certain organizations?
Yes, it can be for some organizations, but if the organization doesn't, for example, have like their accounting organized or payroll organized in some application or like a tool, then they might need to have the actual tax card. So you should always check from your payroll if they need it or if it's automatic.
Okay, yeah, so it differs. Yeah, good to know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ramya, is there any new question that you have?
There's one more, and we kind of covered this partially already, but once again. Is there a deduction for the purchase of home or payment of interest of the home loan?
Yes, I need to actually quickly just check this because it changed at some point.
Very recently.
Yeah. So it's actually now just being updated by the tax authorities too. Okay. But actually, from last year, it used to be so that from the interest you could deduct a certain amount. But actually now it shows that from last year it wasn't. It was 0% now. So it has changed.
So there is no more deductions on home loan interest, isn't it?
Yes.
And there has never been a deduction for purchasing a home. So you can't deduct, you can't expect any deduction for that amount.
Yeah, but there's like when you were the first home buyer, there used to be that too, but now it's changed also. But these have now changed.
Yeah. I have another question in my list. It's something that you mentioned, that you said you advised everyone to inform if there are any changes in your personal life. For example, if you get married or divorced or you have children, what kind of changes that this brings in taxes?
Yes, so at least if you have children, then or if you have how many children you have affects on your tax percentage. So it lowers your payable tax amount.
Okay.
So that's definitely something you need to check also from your tax return and report that to the authorities.
I think in Omavera, My Tax, there is a field that we have to fill in for the number of children.
Yeah.
And then if there is, your spouse or somebody also in the tax system, and then he or she wouldn't be giving the same information. There's a field, something like that. I vaguely remember. Maybe people have not noticed to inform the number of children that they have. Maybe they should do from now on.
Yes, and especially if it changes, then.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember.
But what changes that the marital status brings in tax, divorced or married?
Yes, so there are like different. There are married couples and partners. There are like different. It's effective from the start of the tax year when they enter the marriage or have the divorce.
Okay.
And in general, you don't have to inform this because it usually gets updated from the DVV, the digital, what's it called, the Finnish digital data service.
Authority.
And
Yeah. Population registry.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So there are some. I need to actually look for this. Like, just one moment.
No worries, because there are so many little details, then we can't remember everything by heart. So we have to look
Yes,
for it. Yeah.
yes.
Understandable.
That could be actually something that we could send this link, because there are like these different. I can look for this link for which explains all these effects
Okay.
the marital status has, so we can share it then after
Okay.
the.
If you put it in the chat, then we
webinar.
will pick it
Yes.
up. Yeah.
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 So there's a couple of more questions here. Okay, and one of it is, can you explain a bit more on spreading of income to 10 years?
Yeah, I had the same question. It's good that somebody
yeah.
asked. Yeah.
You
Yes.
just did. Okay, sorry, I read the wrong
No,
one.
no, no, no,
Then-
no, no. I said I had the same question to ask, and I was happy that
okay.
somebody else is asking. Yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead, Sini. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you received at least like a lump sum,
Like a bonus or something?
yes. So
Okay.
then this amount, like, it has to be like accrued over 2 or more years,
Okay.
and then it has to comprise at least 1/4 of your entire like earned income during the year.
Okay.
And then you can request it. So you need to then request it from the tax authorities.
Okay.
And it can be also calculated already on your tax card, but you can claim it then in your tax return.
Okay. So do I understand it right? I'm just clarifying
Yeah.
for the sake of others. For example, if my income is 60K per year, and then I receive a bonus of 15,000K, which qualifies for this 10 years of spreading. So instead of paying tax for 75,000K in 1 year, I sort of spread this 15K in 10 years, like 1,500 euros of bonus per year, so that I pay less tax. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so you pay less tax in that 1 year, so it's spreaded to
10 years.
Yes.
Okay.
To the first year alone.
Sorry?
What about now in this case when it's not a fixed bonus? So is that then also something based on that you could also kind of spread it?
I'm sorry.
When it's not a fixed bonus, and say, for example, there at one point in time that you know that you're going to get like around 20,000 euros, but the next year it kind of reduces. But are we, in case we're not able to update the tax card in advance in that case? So what happens then? Is it like, then are we able to do it later when it's not a fixed bonus?
If it's not a fixed bonus, then you can like claim it on your tax return also, if you don't update it on your tax card yet. So
and you can update your tax card at any point of time in a
yes,
year.
yes,
And
during
then,
the year.
Yeah. So that's also a possibility. Yeah. I think there is a question about the cryptocurrencies and the income from cryptocurrencies. Will the capital income tax be the same for cryptocurrencies like the other ones, like rental income, for example?
That is very new to me, but
Yeah.
you need to report this income also.
Yeah.
And you need to they have this calculator where you can calculate the profit you've made from this. Then you need to report it in your tax return, and you need to actually have all these like notes for this or the documentation in place for 6 years. But I am not now fully sure of this, like if it's fully capital income. I'm pretty sure they have a very good article on this too on the tax authority site. There's also some deductions if you are using this like for mining expenses. I know that, but I will actually send this like link about these virtual currencies.
Okay. Okay. Well, in the case of other capital gains, for example, rental income, you can deduce all the expenses that are related for getting the rental income. For example, if you're paying an agent to get your tenant, and then whatever happens in the house, any expense and things like that. But it's very difficult to assume and then make a track record of how much you have spent on mining the cryptocurrencies, which is very, very, very new for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're asking complicated questions. Very interesting. The topic is
Yeah, very
interesting.
interesting questions, and good to learn this.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
Yeah, true.
Could you give us some examples or tips regarding deductions related to student loans or and maybe also the study grants that you get? What kind of
study grants?
So when can you get this kind of deduction for the study grants or
Opintotuki, you mean?
yeah, and also for the student loan credit, like when can you get the credit for?
The opintotuki, yes. So you can't really deduct anything from the opintotuki or the study grant.
Okay.
Then the student loan, that's probably the one thing that has changed now too. In a moment. Yeah, I can actually look this up too, and then
yeah, sure,
if it has now changed.
Okay. I have a question on you mentioned about reductions in household expenses, and there are some which qualify for 40%, like the repairs and things like that, and then some which qualify for 60% of deductions, which is like a gardening work and cleaning stuff, cleaning houses and those kind of services. You mentioned about child care in this household expenses. Is there any special deduction for child care services, or do you mean the fee that we pay for paivakoti and stuff?
No, that's actually not that one. It's
Okay.
if you hire like an employee here at your home.
Okay.
So it should be like something that's happening at your home that then you can use the deduction for this nursing.
You mean like an au pair or somebody, a caretaker for a couple of hours in a day? Is it so? Oh, that's a very good information, because there are so many with young children, and they might use this kind of deduction. Do you remember by heart, Sini, that what is the maximum amount that they can deduce?
There is this. I can look for the link for you, and then it's something that's very, very good to share for the listeners, probably, because then they have the information on paper.
Yeah, because very recently a young mother was asking me, because her family is in India, but she's here alone with a young child. And she was wondering that what kind of a help that she can get to take care of the child. And then if she's able to deduce something towards the expenses, it will be great for her, because she's a full-time working mother. So great to know that.
Yeah, I'll share this like deductions website they have. Link to it, because then there's all the deductions that are mentioned then.
Okay, super good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ramya, do you have any questions?
One more question on the chat. Are there any taxes to be paid by non-working people on the Kela benefits that they receive?
Great
Yeah.
question.
For that.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Yeah.
To my understanding, it will be like also deducted from the Kela money that you might receive, but just one moment.
But I think it has to reach the income limit to apply the basic
Yeah.
minimum tax. Yeah.
Yes, so there's different like taxation limits for that too. So some are some of the income you get from the Kela you need to pay the taxes, and some doesn't. But I can actually check if I can find a relevant article for this too, so it's then easy to check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here actually I just found it from the Kela site, so I will link it here, because there are like some are free of tax and some are taxable. So
Okay.
oh,
I think
sorry,
the
now it's
yeah, I think
Yeah.
the basic principle is that you will pay tax until
Hmm.
you reach your income reaches to certain amount, whether it is Kela benefit or like a researcher grants, things like that. So or stipend that you receive for your research or education. So you will anyway pay tax, but it has to reach to a certain amount. For example, in the case of researchers, if I remember it right, it is somewhere around 22,000 euros. Up to that amount as a grant, you don't have to pay tax. But if it exceeds that, you have to pay tax. And also for young students who are working in very small jobs, like they're earning like 100 or 100 and something per month, if their income reaches, is it up to 9,000 euros, then they don't have to pay tax.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't it? So you only
Yeah,
have to check the level of
yeah, there are
income.
different levels. You can also have like these pop-up restaurants and all that. You don't need to pay taxes for that until a certain limit. Yeah.
Yes. I have probably one final question, if there are no other questions there, is about making mistakes in your tax form and then how to correct them once you have submitted them. Is there a possibility for that?
Yes, but usually they are very strict on these.
Okay.
So then actually just as I mentioned there in the tax return, that you need to submit it in time before the due date, unless or if you don't, then you will get like this late fee for this too. There are some like one moment, I'll check if they have like a site for this information as well, because this was only for the companies that I had in my mind for the correcting part.
While you're looking for it, can we ask one more question for
Yes.
you to process? There is somebody asking about pre-filled tax returns. What is it?
Yes. So that is the actual tax return that you get from the authorities that you need to check and then correct in My Tax. So it's usually pre-filled, so they get the information from your payer has to report all the taxes or all your like salaries, for example. They are reporting these to the tax authorities during the year, every month, and then the tax authorities, based on this information, send you the pre-filled tax return, which you then check and correct.
Yes, and add whatever is missing, all the
And
expenses
add the
and things.
deductions that might be missing and all that. Yeah.
Do you know the deadlines for this year, Sini?
For this year's like these tax returns, usually you get the tax returns in March or April, and it depends actually when you get it. Then they have the deadline marked on the tax return.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, we probably have time for one last question now.
Yeah, maybe I thought I will ask on a different note because Sini is helping startups.
Mm.
And what is the most common tax forms? Because I think there are so many experts, Indian experts are startup owners, like the founders of startups and things like that. So, and then there are so many of them are very new here in Finland, trying to set up a startup. So, any advice, or where can they get more help and things like that?
Yes, so of course you can get more help from the tax authorities. So even if you run a business or you're an individual, they're very happy to help you. So there are very detailed guidance on the website already, different articles, huge amount of knowledge there. So you can
Mm,
just use the search bar first and then ask their chatbot, or
yeah,
you can also send your
message.
questions there. That is something, or of course you can call them, and if they don't know the answer right away, they will get back to you. They'll get your phone number and get back to you. So they're very helpful there. They
Yeah,
want you to pay the taxes
taxes, yeah.
correctly, yeah, and pay the taxes and do it correctly. So then there's less work for them too.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I think we've had a very informative session, and the questions already shows that how engaged people were with your
Yeah.
Yeah.
presentation and the
Yes.
content of your presentation. Great information for all of us. But I think our homework is to really go and read the tax pages, Veros pages, because it has a lot of information. And then if you don't know that, either we call them or send them a message internally that they reply within 3 business days. Great
Yes.
service
Yes.
by taxes. But Sini, thank you so much for spending your evening with us and
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
teaching us about tax and the basic things about taxation. We are one of the highest taxpayers. The Indians are one of the
Mm,
highest taxpayers
yes.
in Finland. So we are very happy to declare it here as well, and happy to be here in Espoo. And you're working for the city of Espoo. Thanks so much. And Ramya,
Thank you.
any
Thank you
last
so
words?
much, Sini, on behalf of IWF and both of us as well, for so patiently answering all these questions and being here with us this evening as well. It was really an invaluable session. Thank you so much once again.
Yes, thank you all for listening in, and happy to be here and help, and hope to connect on LinkedIn, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer, or if you have a startup you're starting, so please reach out to me and I'm happy to help.
With the process. Okay, super good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks once again for everyone as well who joined us here.